Good evening, everyone. Alright, so I wanted to just talk about, as best as I can remember, what I was saying, what I was feeling, taking this trade this morning. Now, I don't have audio on this because as it happened, there was an energy audit being done in my room, and I didn't want to be disturbed, so I did want to look for a trade. So, therefore, I had went outside, traded for my Chromebook by the lake, and it happened that this is why my screen was white, because I was out in the sun and I didn't want it dark. It was harder to see, so I just didn't want to be bothered, and so I was outside on my Chromebook and I didn't turn on the microphone, and it didn't pick up anything I was saying. So therefore, there's no audio, and it won't be as accurate, but it's going to be to the best of what I remember, how I was feeling, and what I was saying. But immediately, see, I saw this big gap be created after this completely balanced area down here. So I said, okay, well, there's no need to go back down here, which is why I put my stop loss there. I put my stop loss just beneath that candle's low because there's no need to come back into this area. All right. We also have this inverse fair value gap, so it's a completely balanced price range. And I want price to once it comes to these highs to really displace past these highs. We have this nice trend which is going to provide a low resistance liquidity run. And so this is what I was thinking, getting into this position there. All right, and let me put it on ×2 playback. And before I should say, so let me actually pause it there. So I should say that do I adjust it? No, I don't. Okay, so I should say that when price came down and retraced into the previous day range and hit this fair value gap, at the beginning of the day, if I go to my Notion, what I was looking at the beginning of the day, I said would like to see if price is willing to retrace into previous day's range. All right, that's simply what I said. I should also add the trade that I took. Here, right. There's a better one. Right, so I didn't know at the very beginning, if I would try and long off of that retracement or if I would just stay out. It really depends on how fast it wants to retrace. But the idea was at first I would need to see some form of discount being reached before looking to do anything. If I can short down into that discount, that could be something I would do. But I didn't like any of the price action ahead of that play. I mean, there was a couple places where I was thinking of going short, like here, and then ICT did call it out, and but I was more focused on ICT stream more than anything as it was dropping lower because it had already went down into premium and I didn't want to chase it. This isn't my trade. Up here would have been my trade, but there was no nice 5 minute. No, sorry, there was no nice 15-minute PD array, right, on this 9:30 run at around 9:45. Everything was very balanced, and it was a bit late at 9:45 to look for shorts so far away from the breaker, for me at least, and I didn't want to chase it. But then when we saw this nice 5-minute short-term low form a bullish breaker with this manipulation run down there, which I did project, I wanted to see as price came up and completely balanced this range out. I wanted to see it, push up higher and not really have much drawdown. And so I got out at about that high there, which was like almost 60 points, and I was very happy with that. It's not every day I find 60 points. I'm trying to hold more for those types of trades and qualify those types of trades a bit better. But this is one I knew I could have held for a lot longer. I just didn't want to see it fluctuate so long, and I wanted to be done because it was already near 11 o'clock. And I wanted to move on to different things, right? But you'll hear, well, you won't hear, but you'll hear me talk about, to the best of my abilities, what I was thinking as this play was running now. So let's put it to 2. So here I'm explaining that breaker, the idea that I just explained. And you would have heard me explain it there if there would have been audio. But let's go forward. I'm talking about that inverse fair value gap, which is completely balanced, which should resist price. And I'm looking at those highs and I'm saying that, okay, I want price to really displace past those highs. I'm talking about what would make me want to put my stop at break even is once price gets above those highs, I don't really want it to come back. I want it to continue moving and displace with speed. Therefore, I can put a break even stop once we get above those short-term highs above the breaker. So at the next candle here, right maybe after, right there, I started to feel a little bit uncomfortable because price showed it wanted to run initially, started making a new high right on that candle there, and then right away, no, it's not what I wanted to do. Right away, right at that candle there, and then right away we come back down, into that inverse fair value gap, and so I did not like that. I said audibly that I don't feel very comfortable right now, and that if it doesn't start to run, next 1-2 minutes, I'm gonna really start to think about either taking something off, maybe moving up my stop, or closing it completely. And I ended up moving up my stop, once it really started to run, which is good, and you'll see me do that, and it helped me cope with the trade a little bit. But you see, it's just kind of like meandering around, not really picking the direction it wants to go yet, and I'm sitting there just kind of like waiting for it to run. So this is where I move my stop up at the low end of the gap because I didn't want this gap to fill, and I said, okay, it is a bit of a wide stop. Price is not really wanting to run. This should make that low there and then run higher. And so when I start to see these up close candles, now I'm at the point where I can basically move my sub up to this low if it starts to make those new highs, which it does just about here. And so this is what I'm saying. So now I'm moving up my stop close to break even, because I'm waiting for those highs to get hit. So you see me there setting my stop to break even. Okay, and it should be easy selling from now is what I'm saying. So I just pointed at that high there. This is a high of the fair value gap. I wanted to take profit in this area around because this area is kind of like a high of a consolidation. We had a nice entry there. So I know price is likely to come up to that high there because it's a high that was inside a fair value gap and there's a breakaway gap above this high. So I know price is likely to pass through there, maybe get to this high and then that high, and then you can target this high. But the distance from this high to that high isn't too much, right? But then the distance from, this high, no, wait, hold on. Let me go back. The distance from this high all the way to that high is a lot greater. And so I'm more willing to take profit around this area up here than try and aim for all the way up the high of the day or up here. Okay, so I see price moving in, and I'm here. What I'm pointing out to here is that I don't like how price is moving into this large gap. Okay, but I am stating that there is a fair value gap, and that is positive reinforcement. I'm saying, okay, well, there is a fair value gap, and if it drops down there, it's just going to be an extreme discount. It could be another area to enter. Then I'm also pointing out how this is a down close candle that could be used as an order block. And I'm saying that if we get beneath this candle's close into the fair value gap or into its wick, the down close candles' wick, that would be a very big discount, right? Because we shouldn't really want to return back down to this range down here since it's pretty balanced. And so, as it gets above and it closes above this candle, I immediately, note that as an order block. And so that is positive reinforcement. I'm writing down these levels so that my mind can see the ideas that is supporting price. And then I could have drawn out this fair value gap as an inversion fair value gap, but I didn't want to do that because I was thinking about starting to take profit, and I didn't want to start to hold on to this big trade. And so you see me take a partial here because I'm already up, 40 points. Well, no, actually, it's just about, it's close to 40 points. So it was about like a bit more than 30 points. And so, usually I want to try and aim for 40 points. Every trade I take, I want to try and aim for 40 points. So I said, if it's going to run up here to 60 points, I know what's taking a profit at just say 33 points, let it run for 60 points. It should give me more than 40 points of 2 micro profit, right? So I'm taking something off just in case it comes back and stops me at break even, so that I can relax. There's no risk now, and I've locked in some profit. So now I'm feeling a lot better, and I'm feeling really good. And honestly, I could have held it even more, but I didn't want to keep moving up my stop, and then what I could have done is I could have projected the manipulation lower and then aimed for a 1 standard deviation, which would have lined up with midnight open. But that would have been a really long trade that I would have had to sit through a whole lot, and I'm not trying to do that yet. I don't want to. I want to gradually increase. So as prices coming up, I'm seeing another order block potentially form. So this is more positive reinforcement, and here's where it's really sticky. And I start to. You'll see how I'm moving up my stop underneath that order block. I moved it up there because I locked in profit, and then I locked in more profit by moving up my stop. And so here the order block should support price. I shouldn't really want to trade back down there because it created another down close candle, and so it would take a lot for it to disrespect all this and move back down this order block, considering the low resistance liquidity. And so here I'm starting to think about closing it because it's already ran for about here is going to be 50 points, right? And I'm around 55 points when I see my P&L go up to 110. I'm just saying, okay, well, if I close it here, it's just 180. I already have so here I have my finger on the button, and because my Chromebook is touchscreen, I have my thumb on the limit order there to close it, so that in case it really breaks to that high and I press the market close, it doesn't put me in a short. But I wasn't, I just wanted to get out at this area because I had already held it further than initially that high, and I didn't want to wait and see if it would run out this high. And I just said, you know what, I see this red line at that high there, and I said this is good enough. So I closed it just about here, and it is done for the day. And then it, if I had held on another minute, you'll see it would have ran up and completely tagged that high up to that high there. All right, but let me just show that. Yeah, and see it would have ran up there and tagged it. What I'm doing here is I'm continuing to watch the trade. I didn't stop immediately. I continued and watched the trade. I don't know why it's buffering, but I found that's important because I'm trying to put myself in the shoes. If I had held this all the way to a terminus idea, which maybe is a projection, or the high up here, or the midnight open, or the 8:30 open, right, or regular trading hours gap, new day opening gap, new week opening gap, whatever higher level I want to choose. If it was, let's say, 100 points, I wanted to see the delivery to there and how I'd feel if I was still in this trade. So that's the other 15 minutes. And I also ramble about rate cuts and the economic news that we had while watching the price action, which I'm sure most people aren't interested in. It's unfortunate the audio was cut. But yeah, other than that, that's it. So the account balance, as you can see, if you can't really see, but the account balance is up to 173. So I actually have it on my Notion. It is not loading, but yeah, the account balance is now positive 170 round dollars, right? Is what it said. So that's not bad. And I wish it would load so I could show you the rest, but there's something wrong with my Wi-Fi right now. But yeah, that's all for today. I will update. I don't really need to update anyone on the account balance. Oh, there you go. I might as well show you then if it's going to load. But it's getting there. I know it doesn't. No, I really want this to load. There you go. All right. So yeah. So the way I'm doing it is because Friday I had forgot to take off a stop loss I'm not journaling that, right? Because price came back to my stop loss that I had moved up, triggered me in, and then continued going higher. So that stop loss actually became a sell limit, and when it came down to hit, no, it was a buy limit because it was a short that no, it was a long that was in, so it was a sell limit. So when it came in and it hit the sell limit, it got into a short, and then price went up, and then it auto liquidated me at the risk management, whatever that I had, which was $210, and then total of $230 loss, which is why you're seeing a big difference. So in reality, I'm not up $170. I'm journaling it as if I was up $411. So there's only $318 basically left, $400 left before I get out of drawdown. Is how I'm seeing it. If I ignore that $230 loss that I took on Friday by accident, it shouldn't have happened, and so because of that, I'm not journaling it. But this is really encouraging because, just basically two more trades, and it maybe even, well, I wouldn't say one more, but definitely like a good two trades, and I'm back at break even, and we're not even halfway through the month, and this is a big encouragement. I still have 2 more weeks in August. Actually, yeah, I have 2 more full weeks after this week of August to focus on getting out of that drawdown. Even with the $230 loss, I can even do it. Then it's just asking for 2 more trades after that. So I have an opportunity tomorrow. I have an opportunity Friday. I have an opportunity every day, every week, and I only have really 2 losses this month, right? And so I see that as encouragement. I see that as good, and you know what? There's nothing to be worried about. I feel so down when I lose, and like it's the end of the world. And it's funny when I win, I'm all the way up and saying, it's not that bad. But when I lose, sometimes it just takes a couple hours. In the evening, I come back and I really look at it, and I'm like, it's not that bad. And I was talking about that last night, and then today I win, and it really isn't that bad. I made everything I lost yesterday. Almost, not quite, but I will get there. Eventually I will make it back. I know I will, and I just need to trust in my model and follow it, and stay in line with my rules. But that's it.